The major extractive challenges of Nigeria has been the extraction of crude oil and natural gas. And this problem has gone on for decades. The challenge is mostly from both the exploratory stage, because of the method they use to collect seismic data, as well as oil spills that happen almost on a continuous basis. So we have hundreds of thousands of barrels of crude oil in the Niger Delta environment waiting to be cleaned up. We also have the other problem of gas being burnt, gas that comes out of extraction of crude oil being burnt freely for decades also. So you're having issues of oil pollution, polluted lands, polluted forests, polluted rivers, polluted swamps, and then gas flooding releasing a lot of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, also causing health problems. So these are the major challenges from the oil extractive sector. We also have problems from solid minerals extraction. And right now, because of the reduced revenue from crude oil, there are plans to begin extracting coal as well as other minerals. So we are expecting to have more areas of difficulties arising from the extractive sector. The basic struggle against extractivism must come from the people who are impacted by extractivism. These are people living in the communities where oil is extracted, where minerals are extracted, because of the direct impact these activities have on the environment. And so if people are living in a place where they ought to drink water from the river, but the water is polluted, they ought to cultivate crops on the land and to feed themselves on it, and these lands are being polluted, so people are living in poisoned environments. These are the very people who draw up the strategies for resistance. So for any resistance against extractivism to be successful, the victims, the people who live in the territory where these extractive activities go on, are the people who must be the leaders of the struggle. So what some of us do is to work with these local communities to allow them to be the leaders, and they will work from behind, creating the environment for conversations, for diagnosis of the problems, and then also the solutions. Because once the people are determined that they don't want destruction in the environment, political promises will not stop them from standing and resisting the negative environmental behaviors of the transnational corporations or mining corporations. Well, first of all, in our work with local communities, one of the things we try to do is to build people's knowledge on how to document and report incidents in the environment. And this has been successful so far because right now, with social media, mobile telephone, with the tools available, people are able to report incidents as soon as they notice them. And so the local people are monitoring the environment, they're reporting on the environment, and they are building networks of communities to share ideas and share strategies and decide what to do about it. Either advocating for action by the corporations or taking the corporations to court locally and internationally. All these struggles come up from conscious monitoring of the incidents by the communities. Now, as we speak, after many years of campaign by the Ogoni people, the Nigerian government and polluting oil companies have finally agreed to begin a comprehensive action of cleaning up the pollution, cleaning up the mess that they left behind. And the people are saying we're ready to monitor also that cleanup, because people don't just want the promise you're going to clean up. They don't want a casual cleanup. They want to see a cleanup that will lead to restoration of damaged ecosystem. Because after the cleanup, they have to restore livelihoods. And restoring livelihoods means restoring the mangrove forest, restoring the land, so that nature can come back to what it ought to be or what it used to be. Nigeria is a real case study for the impact of climate change for Africa. Now, because in various parts of the country, the northern part of Nigeria is closer to Sahara Desert, and we're having serious water stress and desertification. Lake Chad is a water body on northeast of Nigeria. In the 1960s, it was about 22,000 square kilometers big. One of the biggest lakes in Africa, having shared by Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Cameroon. Right now, this water body is reduced from 22,000 square kilometers to less than 2,000 square kilometers. So this is a very severe and drastic reduction in the volume of water in that lake. In fact, the Nigerian side of it is almost dried up. This has meant displacement of pastoralists, of farmers, of fisher folks, and they displaced from this northeast region. People are losing jobs, and that's where you're seeing a lot of violence also in Nigeria. So climate change is not only creating climate refugees, it's also sparking violent conflicts in that region. Then in the southern part of Nigeria, the problem is that of sea level rise and coastal erosion. This is complicated by the movement of equipment by oil companies, creating artificial canals, and then bringing the salt water from the ocean to damage freshwater system. So you're having this combined with impact of global warming, really creating a lot of problems for Nigerians from the south as well as from the north. So in the long run, you're going to see a lot of migration of people from both directions, and then more conflicts in the middle. One other point is that the southern part, the coastal part of Nigeria, is very low lying. Some places are just less than 1 meter above sea level. So if you have, and the land is subsiding, it's also sinking naturally. And so if you have a net sea level rise of 1 meter, for example, you're going to have flooding going many, many kilometers inland. So the challenge of global warming is very dramatic. And people are just trying to cope as much as they could. Moving away from floodplain, moving away from areas that are, the desert is encroaching, and just people are struggling to keep the environment and to survive the assault. Now, the demand of civil society and local communities is that environmental misbehavior has to stop. And the best way to do this is to leave the oil in the ground, leave the coal in the hole, and then leave the natural gas where it is. We want an end to extractivism, because the world has lived on the extractive model for not so long, for just slightly over 100 years. And a lot of harm has been done already to the planet, to the climate, to the environment. Coal is leading to destruction of communities, of cultures, of values, just for dirty energy. And so the demand is that this has to stop. There has to be a transition, not a gradual transition. There should be urgent transition from dirty energy to cleaner, renewable energy.